The revolution will not be televised. Instead, it will be rendered, compressed, and digitized, jammed directly into our brains, right through our eyeballs. New stuff is coming out every week, and now it's time for some feedback. All right, man. Hello, everyone. Hello. This is Feedback with Reverend Kyle. You are all sitting here hanging out with me again for another Friday evening, December 12th. Wow, it's getting down to the end of the line, man. The year's almost over. 2004 is almost gone. Wow, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about today, so let me go ahead and turn on my clock, because I always forget to do it, and it is...
It's hard to get...
Oh, man, you already got it for me. Look at you. Man, yes. Yes, Mike, you're the man. All right, cool. So, like I said, we got a whole bunch of fun stuff to talk about, a whole bunch of new fun toys that everybody's been probably receiving in their mailbox like I did this week. Let's see. I brought along a friend to talk to today. I have D from eVRydayVR. D, how you doing, buddy?
Hi, how are you? I'm good. I literally just got my Gear VR in the mail right before the show.
I saw that you were in the Skype room and you were talking about, you're like, oh look, I got mine, and now I have to go do Kyle's stupid show. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like, well, why should I be doing stuff in VR when I could be doing stuff in VR, you know?
Exactly. Oh man. Sorry, my hydras are deciding not to work here. Hold on a second. There we go. Okay,
I thought you were just having a spasm there.
I tend to do that sometimes. If you see my whole thing just kind of go, I have no idea what that looked like. Wow, yeah. So actually, mine came yesterday. I did not pay the extra $20 for the rush delivery because I'm a cheapskate. And it came, and I got home from work. It actually sent me a little message that says it's been delivered. I'm like, yay, cool. I'm sitting in traffic. It took an extra hour to get home. By the time I got home, I had just enough time to eat. I had to go to a family function, and I didn't get home until like close to 9 o'clock before I had an opportunity to actually open the damn box. So now you're going to experience the same thing.
See, this is your problem. You have all these like work and family, and you need to just focus on VR. None of that other stuff.
I totally agree. I don't think my family would approve of that, but yeah, it's a good idea. It's horrible. Yeah, so I actually, I busted mine out, did all the updates, plugged it in, downloaded every app I could, played with it, had a hell of a time, showed the kids, sent them to bed. Okay, now it's my time, and I played around with it, watched a movie, thought it was great, charged the battery, had a beer. After the battery was like 75%, I put it back in, and I started watching another movie, fell asleep on the couch with the Gear VR on.
Fell asleep in Gear... So they say if you fall asleep in Gear VR and you wake up, you'll have, like, mega presents. Did you get that? Or was the battery dead?
No, that's the thing. I woke up, and the battery was dead. The Gear VR was still on my face. It took an hour before the markings on my face went away. It was... It was very unfortunate looking, let's put it that way.
I assume your face is mostly recovered now.
Mostly, yeah, as much as it can. So yeah, you get that experience. Are you? So you do a video every day, thus the name eVRydayVR.
In principle, I've had trouble keeping up with my update schedule recently, but I'm trying to get back into things, do it at least as often as I can.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And Bobby Blackwolf was on the show last week and talking about, sometimes it's hard to commit to something like an every week or an everyday show. But, we do our best, right?
Absolutely.
So, do you think you'll end up doing, like, and this is something I had a conversation about with somebody else. Do you think you'll do an unboxing video of the Gear VR?
So I would, but first of all, I'm not set up very well for unboxing videos. I don't have a lot of like studio space, and second, I kind of already took it out of the box 5 minutes before the show.
Couldn't wait. I love it.
I've got the software set up on my phone. I just need to plug it in and run it, but can't do it right now, but I will. So I'm all good.
Yeah, I was joking about an unboxing. I opened the box, and inside is the little zip-up pouch that it comes in, and then you open that, and then there's the gear. Why do you need to do an unboxing video? If I end up seeing 100 unboxing videos for this damn thing on YouTube, I'm going to just start... I don't know. I'm just going to crack up because it's not necessary.
I gotta admit, it is like the easiest thing to unbox in the universe, and that says a lot about how self-contained this thing really is. Like, this is not like DK2, where like I unboxed DK2, there were like 20 different parts, and you had to read the manual and see how they all go together, how they all plug up. Gear VR, it's like, here's a thing, plug your phone in it, and you're done. Good job.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's actually kind of comical. Road to VR did a wonderful the first thing I saw. They did an unboxing, and Ben went through, and the funniest part about it was having to take off all the damn plastic. Every inch of that device is covered with protection. I mean, no VR venereal diseases for Gear VR, definitely.
I don't really know why they do that. I think they just like to put plastic all over anything shiny for some reason.
I guess. I don't know. It's pretty crazy. So I actually had the opportunity. I've downloaded everything I could off the App Store or the Play Store or the VR, whatever the hell they're calling it. And I tried them all, and I watched some movies, and I watched some pictures, and I did all I did everything I possibly could. And now I'm done. Now what?
Now you gotta build your own stuff.
I guess so. You know, I was looking at a Gizmodo app, or a Gizmodo write-up, a review today, and I'm reading it, and it's giving it all these great accolades and all these wonderful pieces about it, and then it says, should you buy it? Probably not. I'm like, what? And it says, unless you're a developer, you shouldn't buy it. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, wait a minute. If only developers should buy this, then what are we doing, just developing for each other? I mean, do you think that's Samsung and Oculus's motive here, is to create a device that's only meant for developers?
I think it's only meant for developers in the same way the Oculus Rift is only meant for developers, which is to say 80% of the people who buy it are not going to be developers, but the people they really want to reach the most are the developers because they want to expand the content, but they also want the enthusiasts to be the enthusiastic alpha and beta testers for that content. So I expect that we're going to see a lot of people with Gear VR and a lot of developers as well who are rapidly going to be expanding the ecosystem and getting a lot of people to try their stuff.
So at what point is VR being pushed to the masses? I mean, here we are, we're all evangelizing it, we're all bringing it to Christmas and bringing it to Thanksgiving and bringing it to family parties and taking it to meetups or, gangbangs at Blockbuster or whatever it is, GameStop. Why are we doing this if it's not meant for the consumer?
So, I mean, it's still in a period of preparation. Like, I really think that although, like, I don't think it's in an early adoption period is what it's in. It's not meant for the average consumer yet. It's not meant for the people who are just want to be able to like solve their everyday problems, get their entertainment, get their work done. It's not meant for them yet. It's really meant for the people who are really excited about VR right now and who are building content so that we can start to get a really rich and diverse ecosystem of applications built out. And once that's in place, then they can start putting their commercials on TV. They can say, we have thousands of apps that can serve your every need on this virtual reality platform, and it's totally ready for you.
You're probably right. I mean, we're probably jumping the gun a little bit. I mean, the Innovator Edition, Innovator is a clever way to not say dev kit. They so desperately wanted this to be a dev kit, but it's not. It's for innovators, which means we don't want to dissuade people who are just, got a couple $100 burning in your pocket. You've already got the device, and you're into trinkets and gizmos and gadgets. Go ahead and buy the damn thing and play the 30 plus whatever experiences that we have available, or watch your porn on it. That's the thing. Speaking of porn, somebody told me you were hosting porn for the is that right, for the Gear VR?
So I have technically done at least one YouTube video on pornographic content. I think it's going to be really important for the Rift and for virtual reality, and I wanted to kind of explore the ways in which it can do things that are different from what porn's done before. So far, there's been some technological innovations. There's been a few like 360 videos that were pretty well done, but there hasn't been a lot of innovation in terms of like It's been kind of mainstream porn, but in VR, which is not exactly progressive in all the ways I'd like to see it. But they're doing things.
So what do we need to do then to make VR porn unique? Do you think we need to have everybody in like spandex suits and pulled back ponytails and maybe some I don't know, what would VR specific porn look like? I mean,
I think the biggest opportunity that VR offers in pornography is the ability for first of all, for it to not just be passive pornography, for people to be able to directly interact with sexual fetishes and fantasies they have that are completely implausible to realize in real life. For example, one of the most common ones is giant fetishes, where people have a fetish for people who are like 30 meters tall or whatever. You can't do that in real life.
Whoa!
And there's lots of other examples like that. And I think that giving people the opportunity to interact with things, unique things like that, is going to be a big opportunity for VR.
So, do you think that there's a market for like amateur VR porn? Like, should I just, should I just strap a GoPro on my wife's head, later on tonight, and then just publish that to the internet? I mean, is that what people want?
That might be what I want, Kyle. I'm not sure about the rest of the company.
Yeah, I'll see if I can run that by her. The problem is, and here's something I've been really challenged with, is I can't find the right camera setup that'll give me what I want without, dropping a huge load of money on a whole bunch of cameras. I'm trying to find the right cheap 360 degree. I don't think that stereo or 3D, where you have one camera per eye, is the right way to go. I think it's one camera, 360 degrees, or two cameras, 180 apiece. That's what we need to use.
I think that's roughly correct. I think, first of all, forget about stereoscopy. There's no good way to do it right now in 360 video. I've seen like 180-degree stereoscopic video, 120-degree stereoscopic video. You can do that kind of stuff if you really want to. It won't look right on the sides. It'll look okay in the middle. If you have a strong subject in the middle, you can do that. But most of the time, if you're doing 360 video, which is where VR really shines, right now you want to do it monoscopic, no stereoscopy, and you want to have some kind of rig. Like ideally, like you're seeing a lot of Kickstarters around 360 camera rigs, and I'm not sure which of those are good because I haven't tried any of them yet. But I'm hoping that we're going to have ready-made solutions for that incorporate 3 or 4 cameras, do automatic stitching based on their known relative positions, do it very well. I'm not sure if you want to have just literal... I don't think you want a single 360-degree camera. There are some people who have done that. For example, the Alien Desert, I believe, is using a 360 globe camera that captures all around the whole sky and all around 360 degrees, but not the ground below. And I think there are others who are using like cubes of cameras, like 4 on each side and 1 on top and 1 on bottom. And there's various other configurations. I think they're kind of trading off what provides the best in terms of eliminating distortion, in terms of eliminating stitching artifacts. There's a lot of trade-offs to be made in that design space.
So yeah, there are. I think that there's a few cameras. Somebody pointed out. I was actually watching the SVVR party stream last night, and there was a dude floating around with one of these little guys up on his head, up on his hat, and I don't remember what it was called, but we were just talking about it in the Skype earlier. It's got two cameras, one on each side, 180 degrees on each, and then it stitches, and the seam is like barely there when you look at the content. And I'm thinking, this is great. This is exactly what I want. It has a 4 gigabyte memory. It does like terrible resolution, and it can't stream live. Well, there you go. I think it's the stitching that causes that to be a problem.
I don't think you're going to be on most people's connections. You're probably not going to be streaming 360 video anytime soon, because even on DK2 to match the angular resolution of the screen, at a minimum you need 4K resolution, and it's going to be even worse on the consumer Rift. So at this point, I think we're going to see mostly pre-recorded videos that people download and view. But that does sound interesting that they managed to get a decent results with a 2-camera setup. I haven't actually seen that before. I would expect there would be issues with a lot of distortion near the edges, but apparently they figured that all out.
Yeah, the stitching is literally right over your head, and you barely notice it. It's there, but you're not paying attention. And if you really think about it, I mean, right now, what are we getting? 96 degrees or something like that in our Rift. At 180, my hand is over here, straight out. I don't see it. I'm not seeing it until I go about right here. That's what the stitch is. And as far as everything behind me, I don't really care about what's behind me right now. I mean, there could be some, monster alien about to bite my head off. I wouldn't even know. I think there's some value to sacrificing beyond 180 degrees for the ability to do it live. I think that's what it is. There's going to have to be a trade-off somewhere.
So I think there are actually ways to do that. So personally, I like the idea of I don't like the idea of just having like behind you be like all black all the time. Like for there are some producers that do that. I like the idea of there are other ways of doing it. For example, you can have the scene in front of you be moving and the scene behind you is static, and then you don't need to update it. You can send it just once at the beginning of the stream. And so that's one way you can get streaming and still feel like you're in the middle of a space, rather than, because you hardly ever look behind you and you're not really going to notice if nothing's changing behind you. But it still makes you feel like you're in the space. That's one option.
That's actually really clever. You're right. You can take a picture. So let's say you're up in the stands. This is the scenario I always give everyone. You're at the 50-yard line of some sports ball event, and you've got everything next to you and behind you is just people in the stands. But you want to know what's going on out here in the actual field itself, be able to look at each end zone or goal or whatever. That is what people want to see. So if everything beyond the 180 degrees behind you is static, that's a brilliant way to solve that. That's actually really cool, especially if the camera stays.
Or it could just be a short looping video, and that would work. Like for people in the stands, like most of the time they're doing kind of the same stuff over and over again anyway. So.
Yeah. But in order to do it live, they're going to have to get rid of stitching, and stitching is really the big problem. Now, I was talking with Kai, who is the Hawaii VR guy. He does the meetup out there and everything. He's got his own, stuff going on with pictures and 360 and all that. He was saying that the farther away you go, like the more degrees that you put in your image, the more you lose resolution. So as you get beyond like 120 degrees, you start to kill things. Things just start to die. And so that's the other challenge. If you're doing 360 with one camera, with one lens, that's going to look pretty ugly. And I've tested it with a couple things, and they don't look good at all.
Right, and that's a problem with perspective distortion. And another way you can see this, if you're a gamer, of course you're a gamer, is if you go in a game and you like turn up your field of view to like 100 or 120, you're going to see a whole lot of detail in the things near the edges of your vision where everything's really stretched out, and then the stuff right in front of you is going to be really tiny and in the middle. And that's not really what you want, since your attention's focused right in front of you and you've lost all your resolution in the middle now. And so I think that's why I'm a little skeptical of the 2 camera setups and the 1 camera setups. I think that we're going to need at least 3, and we're going to need some really good stitching between them.
Yeah, so at that point, then we're not talking about live, and eventually what we'll end up with is this kind of like a Twitch type of solution where it's embedding and compressing and stuff, and there's like a 5-minute delay or whatever, and that might not be too bad, but we're talking about way down the road because of all the processing power needed to stitch all those different images together. So that's kind of cool. Let's see, I was looking through Reddit today. Apparently those guys, was it Nimble, the Leap wannabes, yeah, they got bought by Oculus. Holy crap, I was actually considering backing their Kickstarter and buying one of the damn things. And everybody was like, oh, you got to get one, And I go to look, I'm like, nope, it's too late. It's gone. I kind of feel bad because look at all the people who really wanted one, and now Oculus bought them.
Well, I mean, Oculus bought them. That probably means that they're at least considering using their technology as part of theirs, or as using it as one of the options they're researching. So if they were hoping to see it rematerialize, there's a very good chance that they may see it reappear in some form in the future. So I don't think they should. And in fact, I mean, now they have the backing of a major corporation. So that's a big deal for those who really want to see them be successful and see them their technology get into something instead of just being a few early adopters messing around with it.
The key words there are sometime in the future, because at this point, when are we going to see it? Now that they've been purchased, I think that there's a lot of people out in the community that immediately thought, oh, well, that's going to be part of CV1. CV1's going to have one of those things right on the front, and I'm going to be able to reach out and see my hands. And CV1's going to come out and not have that, possibly, I don't know, but you're just saying, for instance. And everybody's going to be like, well, great. Now, what do we have to wait for? CV2? Great. Another year, another 18 months, whatever. That's the struggle I have when Oculus scoops up these companies, is now I'm not going to see their technology until Oculus decides to use it.
And, it's not even a certainty that Oculus is going to use it. It could have been an acquisition for talent. It could have been just as a research alternative that they want to investigate.
That's true.
So we can't be certain what's going to happen to the technology, but whatever happens, Leap is still out there. Leap is very similar, and they're going to be doing Dragonfly, and I don't think people who really love Nimble are going to are now completely bereft of alternatives. There's going to be alternatives in the market, and I think it's great for Oculus to have their hands on. It sends a signal that they're taking input very seriously, that they're really investing in different alternatives for how to do input, and I think they should be. I think that this is a place where they haven't spoken a lot, at least publicly, and so a lot of people are frustrated about it, but when it comes down to it, there are plenty of options. Control VR is still out there doing their thing. PrioVR is still doing their thing. There's just a bunch of them, and they're all working on stuff, and we can still explore all of these options and combine them with the Rift ourselves, while Oculus is combining other people's technology with the Rift.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many options and there's so many possibilities. Oculus, even at Connect, it was everybody was standing up on the stage and everybody was talking about, like, oh, then we might see a controller today. We might see a new controller today, or an input device of some sort. And they all got up on the stage and they're like, yeah, we don't know what input solution, don't have any idea. And everybody was like gasping, like, oh no, we were totally wrong. And now they've bought these guys, and Leap's doing their thing, and we've got all these other, like I always just joke, just dip me in honey, and then dip me in IMUs and let me run around in VR, because it's basically what a lot of these companies are doing. But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, who knows what the actual input mentality is going to be. I mean, we don't know what we don't even know its final form yet. So that's the thing. What's new with you? You did do something fun last day or so?
I may very well have. I think you have a sense of what that thing is.
I kind of do.
I went to the SVVR holiday party down at the Computer Museum in Mountain View, and that was really, really fun. I saw Crescent Bay.
Oh, wow. Was that your first time trying it?
It was my very first. I didn't go to Connect.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you weren't at Connect. That's right. Okay, so give us your scoop. What did you think of Crystal Bay?
So I'm going to briefly talk about this in my video, which I'm uploading like after the show. But in short, Crescent Bay, like everything you've read about it, pretty much is true. The screen door is like, people say they can see the screen door in Crescent Bay. I can see it if I squint really hard and look really hard at the screen. I'm like, those might be pixels, maybe, but it's like compared to DK2, that there's no comparison. It's like it's way better in terms of screen door. It's essentially disappeared. That's the most obvious improvement. There's also just the tracking volume is so much bigger. I can move around freely. I can turn around freely. I can duck and stand, and I'm like, a meter from the camera, and I can do all this without for a moment losing tracking. And there's just no problem with the tracking volume, and that's definitely a big improvement from DK2. And just the other thing is, like I wasn't expecting it to be. I wouldn't say it's like revolutionary. Like it's not like DK1 to DK2. Like people who say that it's as big a step as DK2 was over DK1, they're definitely exaggerating. It's not. But it's very solid. Every object in that scene, I felt like its position corresponded to a real position in the real world. I could walk around something and squat down and look at it in detail, and that all works perfectly. And the fact that they use standing VR demos really showed some of the added presence you can get from that kind of demo. And it's just Crescent Bay's definitely headed in the right direction, and I'm really looking forward to see what other improvements they make for the consumer version.
So I haven't heard anybody mention exactly what they were showing in Crescent Bay. At Oculus Connect, it was like a good 8 to 10 minutes worth of like multiple different scenes. Is that what they were doing at the party?
I think so what happened was, I think they started with a full demo, and then once they realized that they had 2 hours to get through 200 people, they started like just getting shorter and shorter. So I got there like 10 minutes after the party started, but I was still way near the back of the line. So by the time I got to the front, they were doing like a couple minutes, and so they took me. They only showed me the Epic demo where you have the firefight scene and slow motion.
Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so it's the one where there's a bunch of soldiers fighting, there's explosions, there's debris flying through the air, there are cars exploding, things like that. And it's a very pretty, very very graphic intensive demo, and it definitely shows off its capabilities pretty well.
Wow, so you didn't get to see the alien or the little city or the mirror or nothing like that. See, I think that don't get me wrong, the Epic Showdown or whatever it was called was a really good demo, but it was at the end of my experience with Crescent Bay, and I was already wowed by all of these other experiences that they showed us, and I really feel it's a huge injustice to show people just that showdown, because I really don't feel like it 100% displays the full capabilities of the Crescent Bay. It's good, but you said that you don't think that the jump from DK1 to DK2, that comparison to Crescent Bay is fair. I was one of those people saying it, and I defend that, because I really think that there's a lot to be said for some of those demos and the way that they looked. You didn't get to see the full thing, and that's unfortunate. But you said other people were, and then they slowly cut it down?
Yeah, I don't know when or where that happened in the line.
Man, that sucks for you, dude. That rocks.
I might have to agree with you, because if I stop and think about it for a bit, what you get out of a really strong Rift platform is that feeling that everything's really fixed in space and fixed in the world, and you can move around it and examine it in detail, lean up close to it. And it's hard to get that from the Epic demo, because they were moving the viewpoint. So when the world is moving, it's hard to it's hard to really be impressed by how fixed things are.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's something to be said for that. I mean, obviously, the realism in some of those rooms that we saw, and the ability to look in and out and look inside little buildings in some of the demos, and that alien. I mean, Jesus, I think everybody loved that alien. It was just amazing. So there were some things, that it's unfortunate you get to try. So did they just have one Crescent Bay there, and then they just had a line of people standing waiting to try it, or did they have multiple booths?
I thought they were going to have like 2, but when I got to the front, there was definitely only one device that was being demoed. I think they just weren't expecting such a big crowd of people wanting to try it.
It's SVVR. They didn't expect a huge crowd? Shame on them. So, who was there? Did you see any notable names from... I think I saw Aaron Davies floating around in the video. Was there anybody else there from Oculus representing?
I think so. I mean, at the demo, I only saw a couple people. The person who was suiting them up and the security person. I don't think I ran into any other Oculus employees just wandering around, but I'm sure there were some on hand there.
Yeah, I think I saw a couple people floating around in the video that I recognized, and I'm really bad with names sometimes. So if I ever meet you and I don't remember your name, you'll know why, because I'm bad with names. But yeah, I did see quite a number of people that I recognized. But to hear that they just had one, that really sucks. I mean, it's obvious why the line was so long. Did they make you sign the waiver?
I don't believe so. I was racking my brain trying to recall if before I attended the event there was some kind of click-through, like on the SVVR website or something, but I don't recall anything like that. So I think it was actually waiver-free and NDA-free, and it was actually media unrestricted, which really surprised me, because at Connect how strict they were about oh yeah, no photos, and some people they let take videos, and most people they didn't. But here it was like, you could walk in the room, take pictures as much as you wanted, take video, nobody cares. Like, the security guy was he was walking up to me, I was like, is he going to tell me to stop? And he was like, well, let me get out of the way.
Did you get any pictures of inside, like the lenses and stuff?
No, like, if I were to do that, I would have held up the line, and I couldn't possibly at that point.
Oh, man. So there's been a lot of theories thrown around, and none of them have been substantiated. What do you think about those lenses? What do you think was the magic and the voodoo that's going on in those things?
I can only speculate. What a lot of people have said, and I definitely agree with this, is that DK2, like, even at its very, very best, DK2 has chromatic aberration that the correction just is not fixing. And I think that's because they're very strong lenses with strong magnification, and they have a lot of aberration right out of the gate. And whatever kind of lenses they got in here, they don't have that kind of chromatic aberration. And the field of view was also more like DK1 than it was like DK2. So it's not clear to me exactly how they're doing it. They might have a somewhat larger screen behind there. They might be using they might be changing the lens spacing. I don't know what they're doing, but it's definitely working better.
That's good. That's good to hear. Yeah. I was looking at, there were a few pictures that popped up from the party last night, and I was trying to see if there was anything different about the prototype Crescent Bays that we tried versus the ones that they had there. I don't know. It looks like there might be a little bit better build quality. The strap that went around the back of the head looked maybe slightly different. I could be wrong. I mean, it's been a while, and I only got to do it once, so I'm curious if they've improved it at all, because when I tried it, it looked very fragile. It felt fragile on my head, like I was going to break it if I was able to handle it at all.
I wouldn't say that, like, I mean, this might be subjective, but I wouldn't say it felt fragile. I'd say it felt like when this might be the power of suggestion, but when he put it on, he said, think of it like putting on a baseball cap. And that was really what it felt like putting on a baseball cap. It was very light. It kind of fit to your head, but it wasn't it wasn't like the DK2. It's like squeezes my face. That's kind of what it's designed to do. It squeezes it fairly tight. And it's fairly firm against you. This didn't feel like that. It felt like it was just kind of snug and sitting on there, like holding a teddy bear against your face, kind of.
yeah, good comparison, really. I mean, it felt like it belonged there, like a pair of glasses, as opposed to, the DK2. It's something I was actually going to bring up with the Gear VR is, I've got a nice round bulbous head, and it fits me just fine. I stuck it on my wife and even my kids, and I could not get it tight around their head. I couldn't. I mean, I kept tightening it and moving the Velcro and moving the... Well, the thing is there's like no playroom on the side straps. There's like none at all. I have it all the way maxed, and it's perfect on my face, but then I go and put it on somebody with a littler head, and the only thing holding it on is the top. And they're constantly pushing on it and holding it and accidentally hitting the little thing on the side. I'm like, damn it, this is just really annoying. So I don't know, I almost feel like I want to put different straps on my Gear VR.
Yeah, it sounds like they should have called it Big-Headed Edition instead of Innovative Edition.
Exactly. Right. I know, it's crazy. So the party looked like it was a pretty big success. A lot of people there, a lot of notable names and stuff. Do anything stick out for you that was extraordinary or awesome in your opinion?
I spent most of the time in line for demos, but I also saw the talks because the lines were in the same room as the talks. A few things I wanted to remark on. First of all, let me see. There was the Ethereum talk, which was actually really well put together. It was a little noisy, so there were parts that were hard to hear, but there was a lot of thought that was put into kind of the design of the various Ethereum levels and kind of going into details about that and kind of how they expected players to behave and what they observed in practice. And that was really cool to see because I don't get a lot of insight into design of VR games like that. I was also really excited just to see the STEM plus Gear VR demo.
Oh, wow, yeah. How did that go?
So, for those who aren't familiar with it, the STEM plus Gear VR demo, so they... earlier, a few months ago, I saw a demo with DK2 plus STEM, and what they did is they replaced the positional tracking camera that DK2 uses with a STEM pack tracker attached to the top strap on top of your head. And then they use that to track your position. So you can turn in 360 degrees, you can move in a fairly small, 5-foot diameter volume of space, you can move all around, it'll track you in there. And they also gave you trackers for your two hands, and you would use those to hold in this demo application 2 lightsabers. You would use those to deflect bolts from a spear, and then you would slash at the spear when it comes close to you. So it's like a Jedi training application. And the Gear they actually ported it to Gear VR. It was exactly the same application. They only had one of the lightsabers in this one. I think the other one just wasn't working at the time. And again, they had a STEM pack tracker on top of your head on the top strap, but this one is the top strap of Gear VR, and they were using it for positional tracking and for tracking the relative position of your head and your hand, so that it wasn't, so I'll say right now it was not as good as the DK2 demo. The tracking rate the frequency, the update frequency was not as good. The DK2 was very natural, very smooth, very intuitive. I would just automatically move my body the way I expected and it would work. This one, I felt like it was kind of updating at 20 hertz or something. There was if I held the lightsaber up and I moved my head left and right around the lightsaber, I would see it updating at a relatively low rate. It felt like I said, about 20 hertz or something like that. But I expect that they'll continue to work to improve that. And it was just amazing that it was like there was no PC in the loop here. It was they had their wireless STEM base station. They had the Gear VR running all the software, including the tracking software, and it was doing it all.
So let me get this straight, because I'm really confused about this, and I'm sure a lot of other people are. When you use the STEM on your computer, there is a base. That base is connected to the PC and is spitting data back and forth of where all the trackers are. When you're doing the Gear VR, is the bass talking? Like, you have to have that bass sitting somewhere and talking to the Gear VR via Wi-Fi?
That's my impression. So the bass, they say they're going to miniaturize it so you can like carry it around in your pocket, but the bass does need to be not on your person. It has to be sitting on a fixed surface so that it can determine your position relative to a fixed position. And it does, in fact, they didn't say this, but it has to be talking wirelessly between the bass and the Gear VR.
Yeah, I wonder about that, and that's obviously if there was some latency. You've got the wireless there, plus the tracking back and forth, and who knows, I know that there's, it's a low latency system that Carmack has put into the Gear VR, but still, I mean, I've been, and this is something that you and I have talked about a little bit, is I've been trying to find ways to record my situation on the Gear VR, and we've done Chromecast, and there's all sorts of convoluted solutions, but as soon as you turn Chromecast on, there's a little bit of judder. There's a little bit of judder with the Gear VR software. And then, if you were to add on top of that some sort of tracking or display mechanism mirroring, that's going to cause even more. But imagine if you were doing that with the stem. That is another communication going back and forth. I mean, I was already concerned about putting a Bluetooth controller on, which I finally did. I've got, and for those of you who are out there saying, go get a Moga, you guys are wasting your money. You need to go get yourself, go to Amazon.com. I've posted the link like 10 times on the subreddit now. There is something called the Nyko PlayPad. And there's actually even a Pro one if you like one that's a little bit bigger. It is under $20. It is like $17 US, maybe $18 US, and it is Bluetooth, and it is fantastic, and it works with the Gear VR. I can attest to it. I have one, and I was playing Dread Halls just 20 minutes before we started this show. It works fine. Don't waste your money on these stupid Gigantor Moga things. I don't care how nice they feel in your pocket. This is a mobile device. Sorry, I had to rant.
No problem. Everyone's got strong opinions about mobile gamepads.
So what's your opinion on it? What do you have, and what do you think is good?
I actually I just found something really, really cheap off Amazon and reasonably well working Bluetooth gamepad, and I use that, and it's finicky, and but it works okay for like plane trips and stuff. I just don't use it super often. If I were doing stuff more often, I would probably pick up a better pad.
Yeah. Well, if you're spending $30 to $40 to $50 on an aftermarket one, you should have just gone ahead and gotten that Samsung monstrosity, which I don't know if you've ever used or not. It is fugly at best.
Not fond of the aesthetics then.
Yeah, not at all. It's not. Look, it doesn't look good. It feels awkward. It almost kind of reminds me of the first generation Xbox controller. I remember everybody was joking about how big and bulky and nasty it was. It was kind of like that. It's pretty rough. But I don't know. I've seen some people, talking about trying to find aftermarket, and they're out there, folks. You just got to do your homework. So cool. Yeah, miniaturizing the base for the stem is a good idea. How exciting was it when Amir presented the first stem to Carl and everybody up there on stage?
I thought you could tell just looking at them that it was such a big deal for them, because I mean this was their big release party. This was all their staff that were even there at all. They had them all up on stage. They all looked super happy.
Yeah.
And Carl seemed super happy too. He was excited about the role that SVVR got to play in the development of STEM. It was kind of like they're all one big happy family up there.
Yeah, it was really exciting to see it. I was a little disappointed that about 20 minutes after the party was over, I noticed that a stem slightly used showed up on eBay. Did anybody else see that? Insert laughter here. There you go. I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding. But wouldn't that have been funny? No, I think it's great. It's a good sign that they're getting there. I'm excited to get my STEM system. Did you back that one, D? Are you going to get one?
Yep. well, technically I didn't back it. It was a little bit before my time, so to speak, but I did pre-order it, and it was a funny story because I pre-ordered the 3-pack stem, and then like a while later I was like, well, now I'm pre-ordering Cryo VR and Control VR, and I don't know about STEM really, and so I'm just going to cancel my STEM order. And then I had a lot of trouble canceling my STEM order because they didn't have a lot of support, order support staff. They were more focused on technical stuff. And so I literally just never managed to cancel it. And so eventually I just, I tried the new demo with the lightsaber demo, and I was like, okay, this is really, really cool. I'm, just never mind. I won't cancel it anymore.
Wow, that's actually fortuitous because I'll tell you, I'm a big believer in the STEM system. I believe that it's going to... I just want to get rid of these damn Hydra. I cannot wait. You will watch. I will do a video, I promise you. When I get my STEM system, I'm going to take a hammer to this damn thing. And people are like, no, sell it. People will buy it. It's broken. Look, I have like this like stroke arm. I can't move it. I can't move it. It's terrible. This thing is not, I'll probably just pack it away. I probably won't destroy it, but...
Yeah, the Hydra was revolutionary for its time. But it's quirky. It has a lot of, like... And this was actually, like, when I was canceling my STEM, the reason I was canceling it was because they had not yet done their kind of second-gen thing with the IMU hybrid integration. And so at the time, it had a lot of the same problems as the Hydra. It was sensitive to electromagnetic interference. It would have kind of quirky behavior in certain situations. It would jerk around, lose tracking, and I was like, I've had one Hydra already. Why do I want another? But they've really done a great job of figuring out ways to effectively combine different types of tracking and eliminate those issues.
Yeah, I'm very pleased. I've had an opportunity to try it a few times, several iterations, especially with that IMU edition. Fantastic system. I mean, it's going to revolutionize like first-person shooters in VR, I think. I won't have to worry about pulling the cord or pulling the base, or, I mean, my base has moved to like 3 inches since this show started on my Hydra. It's just ugly, and I can't wait. It just feels so good in my hand, and of course I'm not one of the elite 50 or whatever. I'm thinking about trying to like push a little bit, utilize my clout and see if I can get the guys at STEM to maybe send me one, so I can start preaching it and bragging about it. So if you guys are watching, send me one, please.
Yeah, because it's backwards compatible with every Hydra app ever. So like you could just dig out those Hydra apps and like HLVR and so on, and just start telling how much better it is.
Oh hell yeah! Oh yeah, Half-Life. Yeah. Now you're not confirming anything, are you?
Let's just say that 3 is a bigger number than 2.
Okay, I didn't want to make that clear. Okay. All right. So anything else cool happened at the SVVR party?
Let me see. Like, I literally spent like 90% of my time waiting in line for Crescent Base, so I can't tell you all of the awesome things that happened there. I can tell you I also saw Castellar while I was there.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, I mean, nobody else is really doing a plausible AR contender in this space right now. Like, other than, I mean, they're starting to do things with like Gear VR and the Note 4 camera and stuff like that. But it's definitely pretty cool how with Cast AR you can look down and see like something protruding out the retroreflective material. You can reach down and grab it with your hand. At the same time, like I don't see them as, like, some people say, like, oh, they can do everything the Rift can do. That's a total lie. They do not have the same kind of beautiful update frequency, the same kind of beautiful image, the same kind of FOV, unless you, like, plaster your entire room in retro-reflective material. And there's also, like, the same way, like, if you've ever, like, watched a movie on a projector in, like, a room with all the lights on, you know how it seems kind of faded and washed out, and that's kind of how all the scenes looked with Cast AR.
Really? Okay. So that was that was so I backed them, and I am looking forward to that, but for a different reason than I look forward to all the VR stuff. It's more of a, I don't want to lose out on whatever they do end up doing with it, because they might do some fun stuff. I know a lot of people are very skeptical, but I've heard good things about it from people who have tried it, and I look forward to having it myself. So, kudos to them, and kudos to them for actually being there out in the community and showing off their stuff. Whether people think it's inferior or an alternative, you got to hit the pavement. You got to hobnob with the big wigs, and that's good that they're doing that. So that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important right now to just explore every plausible alternative we have for how to build these technologies, to see their advantages and disadvantages, to figure out fruitful ways we can combine them, and that we don't have a lot of consumer AR technology out there right now. All the Rift stuff is just with AR is still highly experimental. So I'm definitely excited to see them doing what they're doing, and I'm hoping they'll build some really compelling applications around augmented reality before any other platform builds them.
Yeah, I hope to see, and that's the thing too, is where is their development community? Who's building for this? And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that none of us have really gotten our hands on the hardware to dig in, and they're just now getting to that point. So hopefully a community will grow and build some AR stuff. I've got some ideas, some things that might work. How I am. I'm always trying to find some crazy, stupid things to do in VR. So AR is just going to give me another platform. I do plan on plastering an entire house with or entire room with retroreflective, but I heard it's easy to clean too, so that helps. Well, that's cool. Looks like we've got about just under 10 minutes here, so let's talk a little bit about what you do on a regular basis with your videos and stuff. Every day is a challenge. To do something every day, I have a hard time just doing a weekly podcast. Did you think you were being crazy when you committed to the idea of an everyday VR video on YouTube?
So it was definitely fairly ambitious, and I think what got me into the idea, and like I said, I kind of fell off the wagon a little bit, and it's gonna take me a little bit of time to get back to that update schedule and to work out ways to keep it up. But I definitely think it's feasible. I did it for a long time, and I think the reason it's important is because when you look at a lot of the channels on YouTube that people watch a lot, they're channels where there's just a lot of content, there's a lot of things to explore, there's something that people can always come back for, and something to always bring in new people. And at the end of the day, it's just having a lot of good content that can really be helpful, and especially in the VR space where I feel like they're building out this space so fast. There's applications coming out faster than I could ever cover every single application that comes out, and it's a great opportunity to be able to reinforce the applications and help them to get funding. It's a good opportunity to help people get excited about the coming consumer release and thinking about how they could be contributing to building new applications and things like that. How they could, maybe if they're younger viewers, how they could start preparing to become VR developers themselves. And in terms of how do I manage to do that? When I did it, it was a combination of things. One of them is just kind of having a workflow. I used to literally have a to-do list that was do these. I had 15 things in order, and I was always do them in this order, and don't forget any steps or bad things will happen. That's one way to try and avoid some of the if I forget to start my recording before I switch my screen mode, then I have to start the application and I can't see what I'm doing because I'm in the wrong screen mode, and just try and get everything in the right order so I don't have hiccups like that. And the other thing is just it helps, if I had to do an episode on a brand new demo, a demo I've never seen before every single day, that would be completely overwhelming, because whenever I do a new demo, I have to research the developer, I have to research what type of demo it is, the genre, learn more about them, and I can't do that every day. And that's why I've really always relied on having having longer series, where, for example, I did like a 36 part of the original Half-Life 2 on DK1, and people really enjoyed that series. And I could just take my existing game. I had a very strict workflow that always worked for that game. I knew the game. I could jump right into it and just pick up where I left off. I didn't have to research what Half-Life 2 is every single time I played it. So that kind of thing definitely helped a lot.
Yeah, it's a big struggle. I have not done as many YouTube videos as I'd like, playthroughs or Let's Plays or streams even. Streams are a huge challenge because you're live, things don't work, people start to accuse you of like crashing everything, poor Cymatic Bruce. But I don't envy people who are trying to pump out as much as they can. I mean, when I do videos, it's usually because of something extremely relevant or extremely unique, and then I'll do it, trying to get my kids keep saying, oh, let's do videos, and then it comes to a day where it's like, hey, let's do some, and they're busy, they got other stuff going on, or activities, soccer, whatever. So it's a challenge. So to do it every day, that's very commendable to at least try. I know the feeling about workflows. I have my own little personal workflow for my podcast, and there's been a few times where I've had to deviate from it as a result of timing or something like that, and something always goes wrong, where the RSS feed didn't pick it up, or I forgot to attach the image, or suddenly Stitcher doesn't want to play friendly for 6 hours. That's always a big problem. But then I have to write an article and put it on Road to VR, and then it's like, I forgot one of these steps, and it's very frustrating. So I feel your pain, brother. I feel your pain.
And yeah, anything that disrupts workflow can be really frustrating. That's part of why, like with Gear VR, I was like, Gear VR is so exciting, but I really hope I don't get it today, because then I'm going to have to figure out how to record it. I'm going to have to try like 5 different methods, and this is going to be a giant time sink. And so yeah, that was part of the reason I just use standard shipping for my Gear VR, because I know it's going to really be disruptive for me.
Yeah, and we're going into the weekend, and one of my challenges, I've got 2 things I really want to get done this weekend, is number 1, I want to find a good, solid way to get a stream, a mirror. If it means I have to root my Note 4, I'm going to look into that to see if that's going to kill anything. Hopefully it doesn't hurt anything. If you're out in the audience or watching and you've rooted your Note 4, and it's okay and it doesn't disrupt the Gear VR, let me know, please. Let the community know, because I haven't looked into it yet. If we can root, the mirroring is a lot easier, but I don't want to root without breaking something. Let us know. I don't know, have you considered that? Are you thinking about it?
Yeah, definitely let us know. I like several times I was about to root it, and I was like, well, I should at least get it first and see what I can do without having to root it.
Yeah, I don't think it.
But right now you have to unroot it in order to get Gear VR working, because the update's not available in a root ROM yet.
So if we root, if we have a rooted Note 4 and we plug it in to the Gear VR, does it work?
No, because you can't get that update yet.
But what if you already have you already installed all the Gear VR software? Can you then switch to a rooted ROM?
No, you can't.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that if we update the ROM completely, that's not going to work. But I'm talking about just rooting the ROM I already have, the one that stock
whenever
ROM.
whenever you root, you're substituting another ROM for the ROM you have. It's usually just a modified version.
There's some truth to that and some not. You can root without having to put in a custom ROM, but we'll play around with that. There's a couple resources I have that I'll try some things. So okay, cool. So we'll figure that out. Let us know the results of the experiment. Yeah.
Oh
yeah, no, we'll figure it out one of these days, and we'll get that, because I have a feeling that a lot of people want to be streaming effectively and get at least 60 frames looking pretty on 1080p, something like that.
I'm cool. A ridiculous quality whore, so like I want to get 1440p at 60 frames a second. I don't know if that's remotely possible, but it would be pretty awesome, especially when YouTube actually supports that.
Right. Well, and that's the thing too, is I just want to be able to make a good valid stream. And you know, we saw Bruce playing around with it last week. He did some things that were okay. They were pretty good, but I think there's room for improvement.
The frame rate was pretty bad on Bruce's stream.
It was ugly. I actually tried. I have a setup here sitting next to me on my desk, and by the way, this did not work. Chromecast plugged into an HDMI to composite converter, and then that's plugged into the input of a Hoppage 950Q WinTV USB tuner card. And so I've taken HDMI and essentially converted it to USB. And I plugged it all in, and I loaded it up, and Open Broadcaster saw the tuner, and I turned it on, and nothing. So...
Did you just, like, grab all the electronics you had lying around the house and put that together?
Oh, no, just a few little pieces and put it together. But, yeah, basically, actually, that little converter, HDMI to composite, I bought that off of Amazon for, like, $10. So, what did I expect?
It was kind of weird. You were like, yeah, right here on my desk. I'm like, what desk? All I see are chairs.
Oh, well, yeah. I'm actually touching my desk right now. It's it's so weird.
Freaky invisible desk.
It's totally weird. All right, cool. So, all right, we're getting down to here the last couple seconds. Dee, tell us, where do we see your stuff? What do we expect? Pitch. Give us your pitch, your elevator pitch.
All right. You mean for, like, my channel and stuff?
Absolutely.
All right, so if you want to find my channel, I believe Kyle will provide a link also in the, and it's eVRydayVR on YouTube, and I'm going to try and provide as frequent as possible updates about just some playthroughs and impressions of VR applications, some technical walkthroughs of some concepts about virtual reality and how the consumer VR tech works, and I'm going to be showing all the latest stuff in its full glory. And hopefully if you don't have VR tech yet, if you want to check it out, or if you want to see what kind of things you can explore with the tech that you already have that you might not have tried yet, it's a great way to learn more.
Fantastic. Yeah, you've done some very helpful videos, and I think the community is very fond of your content, and thank you for just being an evangelist, and of course being on this wonderful show tonight. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you for inviting me, Kyle.
All right. Yes, thank you. So, other than the band needing to learn a new song, which I heard that they've been practicing a new song for next week, we're going to have to see if they're ready for prime time. I think we can go ahead. Mike, what do you say? Let's have them play us out.